Welcome everyone to this deep dive. Today we're looking at a source that outlines 15 habits for wealth and freedom.
Yeah, and what's really interesting from the get-go is how it defines rich. It's not just having loads of money.
Right.
It's more about freedom, the actual freedom to choose what you do, where you go, how you support your family, living life on your own terms, basically.
That's a much broader picture, isn't it? And that's key. So our goal here is to unpack these 15 habits the source talks about, see them as like the fundamental building blocks for that kind of life.
Giving you the core insights, sort of the shortcuts from the source material.
Exactly. Okay, so let's jump in. The first one requires a real mindset shift, doesn't it? Pay yourself first.
It really does, because the source points out the usual way people operate. Money comes in, pay everyone else first. Landlord, bills, credit cards.
Whatever's left, maybe you save a bit if there is anything left.
Right. But the source says wealthy people just flip that script completely.
Yeah.
Before a single bill gets paid, before you buy that coffee, a set percentage, 10%, 15%, maybe more.
Straight into savings or investments.
Straight in. It becomes the top priority, non-negotiable.
And the core idea there, it's powerful. The source says wealth isn't really about how much you make.
It's about how much you deliberately keep and put to work for future you.
Which flows right into the next habit. Number 2, live below your means.
And here's something maybe surprising. The source mentions that image of, all rich people living these super extravagant lives. Often not the reality.
Yeah, that kind of goes against the grain, the stereotype. The source really stresses this isn't about being cheap or depriving yourself.
No, not at all. It's about being intentional. Really intentional with your spending.
So by spending less than you earn consistently, you create that gap, that margin.
Well, exactly. That margin is the money you can then use to invest and build wealth. The source puts it pretty bluntly. Chasing luxury today can actually rob you of freedom down the road.
Okay, so how do you build the capacity to earn more, to widen that margin? Habit 3, according to the source, never stop learning.
And look at the examples they give. Warren Buffett reading, 5 or 6 hours a day? Bill Gates reading 50 books a year? Elon Musk teaching himself rocket science? Mostly through reading.
Wow. The connection they make is super direct. Learning equals earning potential.
Every book, every podcast, course, even just insightful conversations, they're seen as investments. Like deposits into your mental bank account, as the source calls it.
Because your mind, it's your biggest asset, right? The source argues investing there directly boosts your value, your skills, your decision-making.
Which leads nicely into habit 4, which is about something you absolutely cannot get back. Respect your time.
Oh, this is a big one. The source treats time like gold, more precious than money, because lost time is just gone.
Totally. And they argue that wasted time, scrolling endlessly, procrastinating, doing things inefficiently, it's not just lost time, it's lost opportunity, lost potential income.
So the key question successful people ask, according to the source, is this the absolute highest and best use of my time right now?
Right. And to make sure it is, they use strategies like outsourcing tasks someone else can do, automating things, and crucially, getting really good at saying no.
Saying no to things that don't align with the bigger goals.
Exactly, because they want to spend that precious time building things that generate future value skills, businesses, relationships, assets.
The advice is stark. Track your time like you track your money, because wasted time is incredibly expensive.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Habit 5 tackles risk. Build multiple streams of income. The source makes the point that just relying on one job, one paycheck, it's pretty risky.
Yeah, it's the classic all eggs in one basket problem. What examples does the source give for multiple streams?
The usual suspects, really. Real estate income, stocks and dividends, maybe an online business, consulting on the side, royalties from creative work, digital products, stuff like that.
So the main benefit is having backups. Resilience.
Resilience, absolutely. If one stream dries up or slows down, you've got others. But it also accelerates growth. And the source suggests starting small is fine. Keep your main job, add a side hustle, start investing small amounts, maybe turn a hobby into something that pays.
The goal is just to have income coming from different places working for you.
Precisely. Money working for you, not just you working for money.
So how do these habits play out over the long haul? That brings us to habit 6, think long term.
Yeah, and the source contrasts this with our culture, which is often, very focused on the now. Instant gratification. Buy it now, get it now.
Right. But building real wealth, the kind of freedom we talked about earlier, the source says that's a long game. It takes patience.
It absolutely does. It means making choices today that might not pay off for, maybe years, sometimes even decades. Investing in a business that needs time, planting seeds for a future harvest, that kind of thing.
This is where delayed gratification comes in big time in the source material. It's framed as almost a superpower for building wealth.
It really is. Shifting your focus from, say, what you want this weekend to what you're building over the next 10, 20 years.
And you can't really play the long game without a plan, right? Which leads to habit 7, set clear financial goals.
Exactly. Without goals, you're just kind of drifting. The source emphasizes making them really specific and measurable.
Like what? What kind of examples?
Things like save $50,000 by age 30, or own 3 rental properties within the next 5 years, or maybe retire by 45 with a $2 million net worth. Clear targets.
So they give you direction.
Motivation.
Direction, motivation, and importantly, they act as a filter for decisions. Does this purchase move me closer to my goal or further away? The source says, write them down, break them into steps, look at them often.
Because wealth isn't an accident, it's by design. That's the message.
Totally. Wealth by design. And part of that design, habit 8, is crucial. Track every single dollar.
The source asks that question, why do people with decent income still feel broke? And the answer often is,
They just don't know where the money's actually going. It disappears. So the wealthy approach, according to the source, is to treat personal finances like a business. You need to know the numbers.
exactly what's coming in, what's going out, where's it being invested, tracking all of it.
There's a progression there. The source outlines awareness, gives you control.
And control is what lets you build wealth. So log your expenses, use an app, track your savings growth, whatever works, just take charge.
Now, let's talk about the people aspect. Habit 9. Surround yourself with winners.
The source is pretty direct about this. Your circle, the people you spend the most time with, they shape your future in big ways.
They use that analogy, right? Hang out with 5 broke people.
You'll likely be the 6th.
Yeah.
But hang out with 5 ambitious, smart, growth-minded people.
You'll rise with them.
That's the idea. The rich actively seek out people who inspire them, challenge them, make them think bigger.
So it really forces you, the listener, to ask, are the people in my life pushing me forward or kind of holding me back?
It's a tough question sometimes. The source suggests finding mentors, joining groups like masterminds, even online communities, just connecting with people on that same growth path.
Yeah.
Because that positive energy, that financial savvy, it's contagious.
Okay, what about things to actively avoid? Habit 10. Avoid consumer debt like the plague.
Yeah, this is a big wealth destroyer, according to the source. We're talking high-interest credit cards, car loans for depreciating assets, payday loans, those kinds of things.
Basically, buying stuff you can't really afford with money you don't have and paying extra for it through interest. That's the source's definition.
Exactly. And the wealthy. They tend to avoid this stuff completely. Or if they do get into it for some reason, they attack it aggressively to pay it off fast.
Now, the source does make a distinction, right? They might use other kinds of debt.
Right, they might use debt strategically as a tool like leveraging debt for real estate or business investment, but not as a crutch to just fund a lifestyle they haven't earned yet.
So if you do have consumer debt, the advice is make a plan, hit the high interest stuff first, and most importantly,
stop digging the hole deeper. Stop adding to it.
Okay, so you've created margin, you've dealt with bad debt. Now what? Habit 11. Invest early and often.
This is where the magic of compound interest comes in, which the source calls, one of the most powerful forces for wealth building.
And the key ingredient for compounding is
time. Just time. Starting early, even if it's small amounts, gives your money decades to grow on itself, exponentially.
What kind of investments does the source mention?
The common ones. Stocks, low-cost index funds, real estate, maybe investing in businesses directly.
But the absolute core idea here is consistency.
Consistency is everything. Set up automatic investments, keep putting money in regularly, whether the market's up or down. Just set it, forget it mostly, and let time do the heavy lifting.
And then building on that investment principle, habit 12 is about pouring fuel on the fire. Reinvest your profits.
Yeah, the source highlights a big difference here. Most people get some extra money, a bonus, a tax refund, whatever.
And the first thought is often, what can I buy?
Right, spend it. But the wealthy mindset, According to the source, when they get extra cash flow, profits from investments, business earnings, the primary thought is, how can I reinvest this?
Put it back into the business. Buy more stock. Fund a new venture.
Exactly. Feed the machine. It creates this incredible momentum, faster growth. The source uses that snowball analogy. Starts small, rolls downhill, gets bigger and bigger.
Until it's an avalanche of wealth. Nice visual. Okay, all of this takes serious willpower, which brings us neatly to habit 13. Practice discipline.
Yeah, discipline. Not exactly the sexiest topic, is it?
No. But the source argues it's the absolute bedrock. It's what builds empires, personally and financially.
It's the discipline to say no to that instant gratification we talked about, to get up early when you don't feel like it, to work on your goals, to maybe delay that fancy vacation so you can make an investment instead.
The source describes wealthy people as essentially masters of self-control. They make a plan and they stick to it, even when it's hard.
And crucially, the source ties this discipline directly back to that idea of freedom we started with.
How so?
Because every disciplined choice you make today, choosing the harder right over the easier wrong, it compounds over time into a life with more options, more freedom.
Makes sense. Okay, habit 14 feels foundational, maybe something people forget when chasing money. Prioritize your health.
Yes. The source asks a really pointed question here. What good is all the money in the world if you don't have the health or the energy to actually enjoy it?
It's a fair question. So the perspective is that health is wealth, or at least essential to it.
Deeply connected. They treat their health, physical and mental, with the same seriousness as their finances, according to the source.
And the habits are probably what you'd expect.
Pretty much. Eating well, getting regular exercise, making sure you get enough sleep, managing stress through things like meditation or hobbies. The basics, but done consistently.
And the logic chain the source presents is:
health gives you energy. Energy gives you mental clarity. Clarity leads to better decisions in finance, in business, in life. So your body, the source says, is maybe your most vital long-term investment. Treat it that way.
Okay, finally, habit 15. This one feels like it ties everything together. Consistency beats intensity.
Absolutely. Because anyone can get fired up and be super intense for a day or a week, right? Go hard at the gym, stick to a budget perfectly for a few days.
But then life happens, motivation fades.
Exactly. The source emphasizes that real, lasting wealth isn't built in short bursts of intensity. It's built through consistency, day after day, year after year.
Sticking to the budget month after month, investing regularly, even when it's boring or the market looks scary, showing up for your learning, your planning, your work, consistently.
Because consistency builds the habits, and the habits, practiced over the long term, are what ultimately build the wealth. Small, steady steps are way more powerful than occasional giant leaps.
So, if we pull back and look at all 15 habits from the source, the big message seems to be that wealth, defined as that financial security plus freedom. It's really a lifestyle, a set of daily choices.
Yeah, it's not just about money. It's about how you operate, how you think, the systems you put in place. It's a transformation.
And the source is pretty optimistic, suggesting you don't need to be born rich or lucky. These habits are presented as learnable, adoptable.
Absolutely. They're building blocks anyone can start using.
Yeah.
And the advice for getting started isn't, overwhelm yourself trying to do all 15 at once.
Right. Pick one.
Pick one or two that really speak to you, where you see the biggest gap maybe. Focus on making that a real habit, something automatic. Then, once that's solid, add another.
It's a gradual process, a journey. And that final thought from the source, it really sticks with you.
Wealth isn't something you chase. It's something you become.
By living these principles day in, day out.
Exactly. Your future isn't set in stone. You're building it right now with the habits you choose today.